Good morning everyone, and welcome to Nat's Knacker's Yard. And a bit unusually for me of late, I do have something knackered, and it's that sudden thing, but more of that to follow. The SV650, a little bit of a an update on the SV650. Previous video, it's riding fine. It's beautiful to ride, it's so comfortable, and I have had plans of bobbering it and doing weird stuff with it, but frankly it's so comfortable with that massive seat that it would be a tragedy to do anything to it. However, it's not sorted yet, so you can see the Yamaha bits are off. I have been doing bits and pieces to that throughout the week and taking a few photos, so I'll probably drop them in here. So what have I done with it? They were really crappy. They've been scratched up, they've been messed up, they were beyond saving as chrome bits, so stripped them off a bit, silvered them up and then painted round them, and they're doing quite well actually. Then I'm quite impressed with them. I do need to lacquer them because they're going to need some protection, but I'll drop the pictures in while I'm talking here. What else have I done? The side panels were knackered, they was really scruffy, so a bit of paint. Doing this one exactly the same. I ended up with a really bad smear. I've got a tiny smear on the other one, you can't quite see it in this light. So dark o'clock at night, I thought, I'll just chuck a bit more paint on it and do again. And I mixed my paint types, which was really stupid, but I ran out of what I had, and it's gone all bobbly, which is a real pain in the arse. So I'm going to have to strip that and redo it, but I've just chucked it back on for the moment more so that I don't lose them as much as anything else. So that's a job throughout the week. The other bit that I've got to do is the starter, the electric starter. So it starts on a kick, absolutely fine. Now I've worked out how to do it. So it works on a kick, absolutely fine. The starter button makes a grinding noise, and I'm not going to do it now because it's quite early. And I don't want to do it too much. If it's grinding, it's not going to be doing it any favours. So what? Looked up on the internet, as usual, on YouTube, and found a guy called Brodie. Not a British guy, as you'd probably guess by the name, Australian guy. Now, as a married straight man, it's difficult to admit that I've got a bit of a man crush, but I do on Brodie for a simple reason. His setup is amazing. He's got a massive garden with massive garage with loads of tools. It's something I've learned through travelling over the years, is Brits have really small houses and not a lot of space, which is ridiculous really. But yeah, the fact that he's younger than me, better looking than me, he's got a beard like a fucking Greek god, and I had a couple of chats with him, and he's a really good guy. More importantly, he really knows his stuff, and he's been going through one of these and doing a bobber on it actually. He's done a beautiful job. The main bit though is that he had exactly the same issue. It made exactly the same noise when it went through, so it looks like it's the starter clutch on it, and one of the cogs with a slip slip pin around it, where it's not getting enough traction, and that cog is just spinning. Hence that grinding noise. Is not engaging and it's not in starting. So I know what I need to do, because his video is really, I'll put it in the link down the bottom. His link is really good, and it is a really good, you know, step by step. Also, quite importantly, it looks like I'm not going to have to buy parts for it, which, because it's an old bike, are getting rarer and they're actually quite expensive. Other bits that I've done is going through my video on the carb. That isn't the original carb. It is probably, so I was confused by the jets that are on the air side, and I put it on a Facebook channel and just said, does anyone know what these are for? What it looks like is this is a made carb from the outside pairing of a XS 1100. I'm not entirely sure why a previous owner would have done that, but whether it's for increased reliability, etc, etc. So I don't know. But anyway, I'm happy with the carb. The carb's working fine. It starts without choke. In fact, it doesn't like choke at all. Something I'll look at in the future. So carb's fine. I need to do the starter. It's a reasonably big job. I need a good run up, and I'm not going to do that today because other stuff going on. So I'm going to whip this out of the way and then have a look at that SV650. Right, so back on the SV that's really winding me up at the moment. Slight change, big exhaust. What have I done? I had, where's the original one? The one that it came with. I'll come out to the light so you can see. I did mess around with the baffle. I did put a blocker in there, a JB Weld blocker across, made a few extra holes. It's got the wadding on it. This cracked out before I got a real chance to test this, unfortunately. But whatever I'm doing, I'm still playing with something that's really, really loud. So, kept an eye out on eBay, and a guy 25 minutes away was flogging an original one. So for 20 quid, there's the original one. I've bodged a bracket with my normal, what's it called? I don't know, braiding stuff. Just because there's a lot of bulk on there and I didn't want it pivoting on the front. But and that's, you know, that's a bodge. It's just holding it for the moment. I'll do something better at a latter point. I've not had the chance to do this because it keeps crapping out and it seems electrical. So have I got it out here? I have bought a replacement starter solenoid. It's the wrong one, frustratingly. Can't remember where I put it. It's around somewhere. Yeah, the connections are different at this end, which is frustrating because it is a Gen 1 SV650 one that I've bought, so which kind of implies to me this isn't the original. Yeah, so I could cut off the plug and put a different one on, but I then went through and tested the solenoid. Well, I did it at the same time I ordered it. It was only cheap, so I wasn't too fussed about buying one, but I just thought, you know, ruled it out, buy a new one, it's only cheap. However, since then I have tested this completely, so that's by taking it off, battery on these two connectors here to give it power through. You hear the audible click, which doesn't necessarily mean it's working, but then tested the ohms across the two solenoid pieces, and voltage goes straight through it. I've also tested the resistance between the beginning of that wire all the way down to, just contort myself around the diversion, all the way around to the starter motor, which you can see hanging out the bottom, and a load of oil that came out the end. The starter works, but it was working really slowly with that battery, so I whipped it off, took the starter apart, gave it a clean out, put it back together. The bustles look okay in it, etc. And I've basically, it's on the power there, and it's earthed through the engine mount there. So, and I can just jam that wire into one of there. Right, I'm going to try for a start. It's been on charge overnight, and we'll see if I can replicate what's been going wrong. Give me a couple of seconds. Right, I'm ready. My first thought on this was that it was the speedo that was draining it, and I'm still not convinced it isn't, but I have, just in a fit of frustration, just pulled it out. I've got my money back on this because one of the lights was never working, the right indicator light was never working, so, you know, that's free. As far as everything's concerned, that's free. Right, so let's see if I can get going what it was doing before. Keep an eye on the starter, see if I get any movement out of it. Come on, focus, you fool. There we go, good enough. Nothing at all. Mental note, remember to plug in the solenoid first, you fool. Right, so let's try that again. So, magic noise button. So get movement, so it tries, and it gives up. And it's just like it zaps the battery. So I'm getting a, you know, an audible solenoid click. And a couple of turnovers, and then it just stops. Right, so what I'm going to do is check the volts that's going through there once that's closed. We're right back. Alright, so I need about 7 hands to do this, but let's try this. So negative on my voltmeter, or multimeter, sorry, is on. Negatives, ground's on the negative. So if I go battery side of the solenoid, I'm getting 11 through. So if I go straight onto the battery, so that's straight on the battery, 11 volts. And it's a brand new battery, and it's only chucking 11 volts out. It's been on charge all night, which is pissing me off. I don't think my charger's doing its job anymore. But 11 volts, it should still be enough to get something. So straight on the battery side, so straight to the battery is fine. Let's see if I can get a good enough connection there. So obviously that's on the other side of the switch. Once I push the magic noise button, I think I've got connection there. I do need more hands to do this. Let's try that. Spin you around a bit. So it's getting enough through. Should be getting enough through. Not full whack. Oh, arse cakes. Right, I'm going to take that battery out, hook on some jump leads, then at least I can put my battery booster on as well to see if I can give it a bit more power. Right, so tank off. This all started to go tits up when I down jetted it. So it's whether or not I cock something up when I put the carb back in. I did do it with pace. I don't think I did it wrong. One bit that got me is that was tucked in there. Don't know what that is. Looks like an immobiliser S to me, which will really piss me off as it is. But getting fat hand out of the way. Nah, you fool. I don't know whether I've trapped something underneath. I don't know. I'm going to take the carb out and I'll have a look. Right, I can't see anything obvious that's cocked up here, so I've unplugged everything that was plugged in. That little tab, I think, I've lost it now, it's under there somewhere. That little tab, I think it is, or is it on the end of the yellow? I think that's a temperature sensor because it goes to the carb heaters. So yeah, I think it's some sort of temperature sensor, which makes me feel a lot better because it's not an immobiliser that I didn't know about. I've just whipped the boot down here. It's a bit gungy in here. I'll give it a bit of a clean out and some contact cleaner in there. Whether I take the carbs completely out or not. I'll be foolish of me not to when I'm this far down, isn't it? I'll take them out and give them a quick whiz. Right, so having been through just about everything, there is a plug here that was loose, really loose, and quite, I've no idea what it is. I think it's an earth. So I've pinched it off, tightened it up, done everything that I can and gone through every connection that I can get to, give it a clean out, squeeze together the connections that were loosened off a bit, a little bit of cable chasing. There's still bits and pieces on here that just blow my mind. I'm running short of time, so I'm going to have to try and wang it all back together, see if I get any turnover. I've also done is terminated a lot of these connections, so I've unplugged everything, so that plug there just goes to my mess of cables that I've used for this speedometer that's now unplugged. So I've just taken that plug out and made sure none of those are touching, so that's not it either. Yeah, doing my head in. I hate electrics on bikes. I hate electrics full stop. But yeah. Right, I haven't split the carb. I've drained it. There's nothing in there that could do it. Do you know what, I'm going to have to take one of those floats off just to make sure. I'll whip the floats off. Right, so that's the carb back in. That's everything fucking cleaned as much as it can be. Oh, I haven't attached the fuel yet, I'll do that in a second. Throttle sticking again. And you can tell where it's from that bit. You can listen. Whoop. It's from the rear. I've oiled it to death and it's still doing it. Do you know what? This bike is starting to really piss me off. Right, everyone has their Jinx bike. I think this is mine. Because I'm starting to fucking hate it. Right, let's put it all back together. I can live with that for the moment. I'll piss around with it later. Right, so after all of that graph, power on, and battery booster on the power as well. been through the fuses, been through the wiring. Hints on a postcard. Right, I think that's me for the day. Frustration's getting the better of me, and I'm about to start breaking things. Oh, arse. Right, I don't think that's starter motor. That's just not it. It's not. There's something stopping it. I think that's mechanical in there. Don't know. No clue. Yeah, post some suggestions. See what you reckon. Yeah, it's just frustrating because it was going so well and it just stopped. It just decided not to turn over anymore. It's like things the starter motor runs. Starter motor runs. I might just have a look, see if there's any kicking around going cheap. But it runs when you wang power through it, so it's not that. I'm sure it's not that. Anyway, I'll chuck that battery back on charge. I'm going to make myself feel considerably better by grabbing the SV650 and just putting it in the garage. There's something deeply cathartic about kickstarting a bike, and I will get round to sorting out the electric start on that probably next weekend. Cool. Right, so from the zero to the hero, and the SV is very much the zero at the moment. So next video probably will be me trying to sort out the electric start on this, but some engine noise during one video. Yeah, love that bike. More to follow on that. I do need to get the side casing off and sort out that starter gear, because it's just grinding away. This continues to perplex me. Answers on a postcard, please, to Nat's Knackers Yard. What the fuck is wrong with it? I can't get away from the fact of the starter motor, because it's just not catching, it's not turning. But then when I've taken it out and put power straight through the starter motor, it works. And I know it's getting power to that starter motor because I've tracked it through. I don't know, I really don't know. I might just go for a new starter motor and see whether or not that works. If it doesn't work, I'll just chuck it back on eBay. It's frustrating at the moment because it was getting there and it was starting to come together, and I was pissing around with bodywork and clocks, and even that clock was knacked and didn't work properly. So what next? Got to work out what's going wrong with it. I have decided though I'm not going to go for an electric speedo on it, as when and if it moves again. The speedo drive is electric on this, it's not mechanical, it's not like there is on the other bikes. So 3 wires come out. That's been cut at the base. I've looked at getting the problem with going with the digital speedos, there's really not a lot of choice. It's basically this model, and the other ones are just ugly. So what I want to do is go for a standard one. So I need to look at the speedo drive, I need to take that off. Apparently the old oh god, what are they, slab sides, Z1100s I think, I can't remember, I've got it online somewhere. Apparently the old ones, the speedo drivers will fit, but I need to take that off and check what the drive face on it is rather than just buy one and hope. And then I just want to put a standard normal speedo on it, and there's a lot more varieties of it. But first things first, I've got to get the bastard thing to turn over. Yeah, answer on a postcard please too. That'll do me. I think it's Christmas decorations day today, so family fun to have. Cheers all, catch you later.